Hey everyone, welcome back to Blurred Lines Crime Conspiracy and the Truth Behind the Gossip, hosted by me, Ash, or Ashtootrippy. Join me today as we talk about updates in the true crime world, conspiracy, and of course the juiciest gossip. And of course, sometimes those lines get blurred and we talk about all of it all together. But welcome to our Updates podcast. Hey everyone. So, welcome back to our Updates podcast. I'm really excited to be able to give you guys this 2 weeks in a row. I'm finally getting in the groove of things. Just as a reminder before we get started in our Updates episode here, again, I am still looking for somebody to create music for me. You will get credited on every episode vocally as well as in the description and on my YT. So if you guys know anybody or if you are willing to do that, I would love to talk to you. Unfortunately, I'm not financially able to pay anyone for this as of right now, but as things keep moving, we can talk about that in the future. I'm basically just needing an intro and something to put towards the end of the podcast. I feel like it just brings a lot of things together and it's a little more entertaining, in my opinion. So if you guys are interested in that, or if you know someone, definitely give them my email, ashtootrippy@gmail.com, or you or anyone else can message me on any of my social media platforms, including my personal platforms, which is all under Ashtootrippy, including my YT channel and my Instagram and TikTok. We also have a TikTok for the podcast. It's Blurred Lines Podcast. You can find it, but with a simple search. We're going to get into our episode today. Welcome, and I'm happy to have y'all back here with me so we can talk about things that are going on within the true crime world and maybe outside of it as well. So we're going to get started here with the New Jersey woman accused of hiring a Tinder date to kill her ex and his teen daughter. Yeah, this is a crazy story coming out of New Jersey. So in New Jersey, a 26-year-old woman has been accused of hiring a man she met on Tinder to kill her police officer ex-boyfriend and his teenage daughter, according to authorities. The Camden County prosecutor, Grace C. McCauley, is charging Jocelyn Derio with 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder, as well as 1 count of third-degree possession of a controlled dangerous substance in connection with the alleged crime. Gloucester, New Jersey Township released a news release stating that Jocelyn allegedly told a confidential informant she had met on Tinder that she wanted her ex, a 53-year-old Philadelphia Police Department officer, and his 19-year-old daughter killed. Wild, right? It seems like there's like so many of these people plotting to kill like their ex or their current husband or their current boyfriend. I don't know why this has started coming out more. I feel like it's something that's always happened in the background and basically people have never caught on to it until now. The informant stated that he and Jocelyn exchanged several phone calls and text messages after meeting on a dating app and later in person at a Wawa, according to court documents. To my understanding, and I'm sure people that live on that side of the United States will let me know, I believe a Wawa is a grocery store. It may be a gas station. Not too sure. Jocelyn's ex, the police officer, told authorities that he had met the 26-year-old woman when she had been his barber. He broke up with her on March 6th in the summer, and then in the summer of 2024, Jocelyn filed a restraining order against the officer, which was ultimately dropped, as the criminal complaint states. The officer also stated that his home was vandalized by a Molotov cocktail in September of 2022. So I feel like the restraining order was a way for her to be like, look, this guy is so horrible to me and I have to have a restraining order. Now, since the restraining order was ultimately dropped, I do believe that they probably didn't find any kind of evidence to say, oh yeah, this guy indefinite need of a restraining order to stay away from this woman. That's just my assumption. It could be multiple different reasons. It could be that she dropped it herself. You never know. Police allege that she offered to pay the informant $12,000 to kill both victims. She then met up with the informant on April 4th in Gloucester Township and gave him $500 in cash as an initial payment for the killing. After this, she was taken into custody. Tinder told Fox News Digital in a statement that what's been reported is horrible and shouldn't happen to anyone. They also stated that they will be fully cooperating with law enforcement to provide information that would be helpful to them for their investigation. So basically they're saying, this is horrible. We didn't do any of this. We weren't aware this was happening. And if they need anything, we'll be able to give it to them. But isn't this just so crazy? Like, not only killing your ex, but also his daughter. Like, that's just diabolical. Like, anybody that can think like this should most certainly be able to get an evaluation and or stay in prison for the rest of their life. But she has not gotten any kind of sentencing. All of this is alleged as of right now, and we will keep it updated with that. Authorities are asking anyone with information about Dario. So if anybody has become in contact with her, dated her, talked to her on any social media site or dating site, they want you to contact Detective Ryan Durham of the Camden County Prosecutor's Office, Major Crimes Unit at 856-225-5127, or to go to camdencountypros.org/tips. I will leave all that information in the episode description down below, or in any kind of description that you guys are listening to this on. In case anybody has seen anything, please say something. That's the biggest thing about doing these crimes, is in order to keep some of these people from getting out of jail, if they can collect more information, that benefits the case vastly. All right, so this one has astounded me for a while, and actually one of these girls is already out of prison or out of the mental health facility. Well, if you guys don't remember, the Slender Man stabbing, basically I think it was it might have been 3 girls. They basically went out into the woods and they pretty much brutally attacked one of their quote-unquote friends. It was basically like a sacrifice for this imaginary fictional character, the Slender Man. Megan Gayser is being released from a mental health facility. She's now 22, and she's being released despite the state of Wisconsin's claims that there are still red flags and concerning behavior she's still displaying. Morgan attempted to kill her 12-year-old classmate to appease a fictional character called the Slender Man. Officials asked the court and Judge Michael Boren to reverse his initial decision after he had ordered Morgan's release in January, citing that Morgan's relationship with a murder memorabilia collector and her interest in violent books. So she was actually, we'll get into it here a little bit later, but she was actually talking with somebody that she was sending letters and pictures and drawings to and stuff like that, and that person was actually selling them online or collecting them himself because he was fascinated by her crime. In 2017, Morgan pled guilty to attempted first-degree intentional homicide in the violent and shocking stabbing of Peyton Lautner. However, she claimed she was not responsible due to her mental illness. She was later found not guilty because of the mental defects. Peyton miraculously survived the attack. She basically pled not guilty, and just basically by reason of insanity is why she didn't get that guilty verdict. Morgan has been in custody of the Winnebago Mental Health Institute for the last 7 years. So she was found mentally not right, and she was put into a mental health facility. She was initially sentenced to 40 years in the psychiatric hospital and was permitted to ask the courts to consider her conditional release every 6 months. Gayser's defense attorney, Tony Cotton, refuted the claims, telling the court the center's staff members were aware the collector had visited Gayser 3 times in June of 2023 and that she only read books that were permitted by her care team. Her lawyer also also claimed that Morgan discovered that the man she had been talking to was selling her items she sent him, and she then broke things off. So this man, she was talking to this man. He went to visit her, and then miraculously she finds out he's doing this. In my opinion, I think she knew from the get-go that he was doing this, and that's what attracted her, because she's like, oh, well, this is somebody that likes me for me, my crimes and all, like, you know. And I guarantee they still talk. There's no way. Now with the violent books, they say that it's only books, but in a little bit we're gonna go over what kind of books she goes over, and actually I'm gonna get into that now. While her apparent interest in violent topics concerns prosecutors, the experts say some individuals may gravitate toward material that offer a controlled way to indulge in their morbid curiosity. Agency officials argued this and stated that she is still a danger to the community, citing that the book Rent Boy, which features topics such as murder and selling organs on the black market. The state has real concerns where things are frankly just red flags at this point, which I agree. While for some, morbid curiosities may be normal, for some experts believe those with violent pasts could be influenced by materials about their crimes. And I 100% agree with that sentiment. I think that there is a lot of people in the world that have morbid curiosities. That's why a lot of us are into true crime and stuff like that. But I also believe that if you have indulged in any of the fantasies you read about, or the crimes you read about, or the fan fiction you read about, I think that there's something that is inherently wrong with your brain. And I can tell you right now, this isn't going to be the first violent crime this woman is going to face. She has shown by reading these kind of books, which I'm going to pull up the book here in a moment, and I'm going to read the synopsis for you guys of this book, Rent Boy, and you tell me what you guys think. Okay, so Rent Boy is a book that was originally published in 1994 by a guy named Gary Indiana. And let's read a little synopsis here of what Rent Boy is about. And I want to preface this by saying on Goodreads, it does have a 3.61 stars. And we're going to actually read a couple of reviews after this as well. The genres are queer fiction, LGBT, gay, historical fiction, and literary fiction. Okay. Danny is a rent boy, an architecture student, a waiter, and hot. Working his way through school seemed pretty. He serves ego-obsessed writers their cocktails at the Emerson Club. He has his toes and other appendages sucked by horny businessmen, and he escorts anyone, male, female, or otherwise, who can afford him. But then his liaison with another rent boy gets him involved with an organ theft ring centering around a crazy old doctor and a crackpot nurse. A relentless stream of social commentary careening between sex, comedy, and murder. Rent Boy is an hysterical romp through the worlds of contemporary culture and crime. And honestly, so there's an obsession, because the books it's recommending are like these steamy, like hot books. It's crazy. So I'm going to read a couple of the reviews on this book. This person gave them 2 stars. Much like the male prostitutes who populate the novel, I was quickly in and out this in one night. It's a good thing too, because I would not have wanted to spend a single second longer in this bleak and grimy world of New York City's seedy gay nightclubs, soulless male hustlers, aka rent boys. Lonely Johns and desperate junkies in the early 1990s. Let's just say this turned out to be a happy Pride Month selection, only in the most grimly ironic sense. Let's see. There are some trashy reads that are deliciously raunchy and pulpy and fun, even titillating at times, and then there are those trashy reads that are just vile and gross, revealing in their nihilism and ability to shock and disgust. This book was very much an example of the latter. It's too bad too, because the author Gary Indiana, not his birth name, definitely knows his way around a sentence. There's some blistering satire and pithy pithy writing scattered throughout, and I can appreciate his ambitious attempt to examine the lives of male sex workers with a candid and empathetic eye, while also questioning and condoning a capitalistic society in which everything and everyone becomes a crude comedy to be bought and sold. Wow. It's crazy. This is kind of like crazy. There's people that love it too. Somebody said it's a Saltburn, like a Saltburn type of book, and I don't know. I feel, in my opinion, for somebody that at 12 years old, you know, kind of attempted a murder on one of her best friends, this isn't the kind of book that I would want her reading. Even though she's now 22 years old, you were in a mental facility for the past 7 years. How is your medical team approving this as something you should be reading? But I digress. I don't believe it. Let me know your guys' comments on it. That's just not a genre she should be reading. It's not about curiosity. It's about planning another murder, in my opinion, of course. So back to about Morgan here. So the judge has determined she was no longer a danger to society. Her next court appearance is scheduled for April 28th, which we will hear when she will officially get out. This crime was also done with Morgan's friend Anissa Weaver when they lured Peyton into the wooded park during a sleepover in May of 2014. Morgan stated she was encouraged by Anissa. Peyton was stabbed 19 times in the woods. Weir also pled guilty to being a party to attempted second-degree international homicide with a dangerous weapon, and was sentenced to 25 years in a mental hospital. In 2021, she was released on the condition that she must live with her father and wear a GPS monitor. So Anissa Weir was who was with Morgan when they had attacked Peyton, and she is already out. So I was like, wait, I remember seeing this somewhere, and that's where I seen it. I forgot that there was 2 girls involved in this situation, and she is already out. She's basically has a GPS monitor. She has to live with her father. To my understanding, that's also what's going to be happening April 28th with Morgan, is they're going to kind of give her stipulations on what she can and can't do once she gets out. And honestly, I don't think it's a good move. I think that it's something's not going to end very well with this situation, because especially if she's still reading those kind of not really fictionalized books, it gives me the question of, how is this going to work out? How is nobody else going to get hurt? Again, just solely my opinions, but let me know what you guys think about that one down below. All right, now this one is really sad, guys. Honestly, it's a 13-year-old that pulled out her hair to leave DNA evidence to catch her alleged sexual assaulter. So Angel Lopez, who is 19, is accused of luring a girl through conversations on TikTok over 4 days. Lopez paid for her Uber ride from Westmoreland County, PA to Philadelphia, where he allegedly assaulted her in his home and after offering her drugs. Lopez appeared in court on Thursday, April 10th for a preliminary hearing following his arrest. Arrested Lopez was charged with kidnapping a minor, trafficking, involuntary deviant sexual intercourse of a person less than 16, unlawful contact of a minor, interference with child custody, statutory sexual assault, aggravated indecent assault of a child, sexual abuse of a child, corruption of minors, and a criminal use of a communication facility. The girl stated that Lopez had told her they won't be able to find you anyway. And he also told her to shower after the alleged assault to quote unquote wash his DNA off her. According to the criminal complaint, the girl told police she left strands of her hair around Lopez's bedroom so her DNA could be found. Now, how smart is that? And I encourage everybody to try to use those critical thinking skills if God forbid anything happens. Scratching, leaving your hair, even blood, leaving your blood. Like this girl did everything right for her only being 13 years old. Lopez exchanged 1,862 printed pages of messages with the girl during the 4-day period. So again, he had only talked to her and coerced her to go to his house over a 4-day period on TikTok of just talking to her on TikTok. Crazy. The victim later told police that their relationship turned sexual via explicit messages prior to the assault, and she expressed apprehension about going to Philadelphia to the DA. The victim was reported missing by her family on March 14th. Police were able to ping her phone to a location near Lopez's apartment. Lopez is in custody and his next court date is May 14th. So this 13-year-old is just like has to be one of the most strongest people I know to be able to endure all that and still think to herself, hey, like he's telling me he can get rid of me and nobody will find me. Let me make sure that they do find me regardless of what happens. I'm really happy she was found alive and okay to a sense, because sexual assault and abuse and all of this other stuff is going to affect her for the rest of her life. But if she is smart enough to leave strands of her hair all around his apartment, I'm guaranteed that she is going to get through this. Now, if you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, please contact the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE, 1-800-656-4673, or you can go to RAINN, RAINN.org. They do have resources as well as they can take tips and all of this stuff as well. I'll also leave it in the show notes down below so you guys can locate that. Please say something, guys. Victims should always have a voice in these kind of matters. Now, I know we don't talk about too much conspiracy theories, but I have a conspiracy theory for you guys today. Yes, you're welcome. So I had been seeing this on my FYP on TikTok, and I tried to look into it and I was like, I can't find anything. So when I went and did my research for this episode, I did like a deep dive to find out what exactly was going on. There's numerous articles about it debunking it completely. So if you guys haven't heard, there's been this thing going around saying that 17 people were alleged to be missing after interviewing for a job on Indeed. And I feel like this story comes back every so often. Now, this has actually happened out in Canada and I believe one other state, but it's only been 1 or 2 people. It has not been like 17 or anything like that. But please, on Indeed especially, use your better judgment. Look up stuff. If somebody says this is the address and it's a home, don't do it. I actually want to tell you, before I get into this story, I want to tell you something that I had experienced last year when I was looking for a job. So I had applied for this position and it was basically customer service and packing orders for a small makeup company that they import from another country, and you handle all of this stuff. So apparently they had like an Amazon storefront. So when I applied for it, it had given the address and I looked it up. I said, okay, cool. It's in a warehouse, all that stuff. So I get a call a few days after I had applied. And she's like, yeah, can I give you a quick interview? I'm like, sure. I was trying to find a job. So this lady, she told me about the job and I was like, oh, this is great. This is wonderful. Like something that I would be able to do. I have experience in customer service as well as like packaging and all that, because I owned my own business and I had worked for Amazon previously and things like that. So I was like, oh yeah, for sure. Had a good conversation. And then towards the end of when she was telling me like what my job duties would be, she was like, well, right now, because I asked her where they were located. She's like, well, right now we're actually out of a home that we had to rent because the warehouse we had was just way too big, and we decided to downsize because of everything that happened with COVID, and we were not operating for a certain amount of time and all of this stuff. So I look up, she gives me the address, and I look up the address while I'm on the phone with her. And I'm like, this is like really far from me. And it's kind of not in the middle of nowhere, but it's, it's at least a 20 more minute drive than where the other warehouse was from, which is what they had listed on Indeed. And not only that, is it was in an area of town that I was not comfortable with going to. It was in an area where the houses were a little farther apart. It wasn't completely secluded, but I'm like, So I expressed, because at the time the vehicle I was driving didn't have very dependable tires, and I said, you know what, it's going to take me a lot of time to get there, so I'm not too sure. And she tried to encourage me and tell me, oh no, you can, even without the freeway, you'll be able to get here in 20 minutes. And I'm like, no, actually it'd be about 45 because I live clear across the town. And she argued with me a little bit on that, but I continued hearing her out. And I was like, how many people work? And she's like, oh, it would only be you, me, and one other lady. And I guess it was a guy that actually ran the company, whose company it was. I don't even remember the names of it. So my husband gets home and I talk to him and I'm like, yeah, I really am interested in this position. It was great pay as well too. And I was able to be flexible with picking up my kids from school and dropping them off and doing all that. And it was a little bit part-time, but could lead to like, 30 hours a week, which I was okay with. And I was talking to him and he's like, that doesn't sound right to me. And so they had wanted me to go into this house that was now their warehouse that they were renting out. And she wanted to do like a face-to-face interview and see if I liked the position, see what exactly they were doing. And after talking to my husband, I was like, you know what? I just don't feel right about this. I don't feel right going into a house, first of all, because you don't know what's in that house. Like, yeah, there could be tons of makeup and I could be packaging and they could have like computers and all this other stuff, but they can also be setting me up to be trafficked. They can also be setting me up to do whatever the hell they want to with me as well. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Let me tell you, I'm glad I didn't, because that woman contacted me for a whole week, including the guy that owned the company contacted me twice within that week as well. I finally sent her a text message and said, you know what? I'm not comfortable with driving so far, and I am not going to accept the position. So if you have to, move on with other candidates. I ended up reporting the job to Indeed, and they ended up changing their location and putting on the listing that it was at a house. I never seen it after that, so hopefully what I did helped, but you guys have to be cautious of these things. Even if it sounds like a fantastic opportunity, use your good judgment on things like this, because people are getting taken all the time and there's ways around every single thing that people say or do. And just be careful out there, okay? So let's get back into this story. So 17 people were alleged to be missing after interviewing for a job on Indeed. So it has been alleged in a woman's video on TikTok that her friend went missing after she was going to a job interview she had applied for on Indeed. But is it true? I have looked into this as it came across my FYP, as I stated, a couple of times now, and I saved it to see if there was anything to this. And when I started researching, I found a lot of nothing. Yep, nothing. The woman in the video claims this is a story she heard from a friend that had a friend go missing, and now claims 16 others have fallen victim to this quote-unquote scam as well, and is claiming this is happening in Atlanta, Georgia. But when I looked even on news stations in the area, no one had said anything about this taking place. So I kept looking. And I was able to tell this all originated on the main sites for spreading misinformation. You got it right, Reddit. So that's where it originated from. That's where this whole story came from. Although this has happened before in a couple of areas, including Canada, like I stated, not at this magnitude. And not that anyone has ever said it was an actual person who did the abduction that also posted the job. So nobody has ever come forward and said, oh yeah, she was going to a job interview and it was a job from Indeed. None of the instances where people had actually gone missing from it have even stated that. A lot of people just basically stated that they were probably abducted or they met a certain fate, not necessarily that it was from the Indeed posting itself. You get me? This looks like a lot of misinformation here, and honestly, you should be careful. Though it has indeed turned into a breeding ground for scams, I have dealt with so many when I was on a job hunt, like I stated. But if this was a known issue, I have full confidence the authorities and Indeed would have this addressed. But the fact of the matter is, be careful and always use caution, like I stated. I'm not discrediting that Indeed has so many scams because they do. I also did one time fall for a scam where they're like, oh, we're going to send you a check and you can buy your computer and all the things you need to finish the job, and gave me a list and sent me a check, and it turned out to be a fraudulent check. They wanted me to cash and then send them a certain amount of money, which was only like $200, but it was like a $1,500 check. So they wanted me to take the blunt blame for that. So use caution, use your common sense, and if you see something, say something. Honestly, this has been going on a lot, especially as the economy for jobs is just getting less and less. But in this instance, there aren't 17 people missing from Atlanta, Georgia for interviewing from a job on Indeed. Indeed also had spoke out in this matter and stated that they had not received any kind of complaints like that. So even furthermore determines that that is debunked completely. Okay. So last case we're going to talk about today in our updates is a 17-year-old in Wisconsin who allegedly killed his parents as part of a plot to assassinate Trump. This is per the FBI, guys. So Nikita Casp in Wisconsin is facing 9 felony charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of hiding a corpse. He also called for an assassination of the president in written documents and text messages found by investigators. The alleged killing of his parents appeared to be an effort to attain the financial means to carry out his plan. He also is facing federal charges including presidential assassination, conspiracy, and use of weapons of mass destruction. So, police believed the suspect's mother, Tatiana Casa, and his stepfather, Donald Mayer, were killed on February 11th. Both were found dead from gunshot wounds more than 2 weeks later on February 28th, when the local sheriff's department conducted a welfare check at the family's home. Nikita was not home, and they then listed Meyer's SUV as stolen. That evening, the suspect was stopped in Kansas, and they performed a traffic stop on the vehicle and found the suspect driving. In the vehicle, authorities found $14,000 in $100 bills, more than $14,000 worth of jewelry, and a .357 Magnum revolver, which was purchased by his stepfather, Donald Mayer. A search warrant was then obtained, and his phone then found materials related to the Order of the Nine Angels, which is a network of individuals holding neo-Nazi, racially motivated extremist views. They also found photos and communications referring a self-described manifesto regarding assassinating the president, making bombs, and terroristic threats. A 3-page document the FBI found called for Trump's assassination to create a political revolution in the U.S. and, quote-unquote, save the white race. One of his 17-year-old classmates told the sheriff's office in March that he had told him he planned to kill his parents, but did not have access to a gun. According to the Waukesha County complaint, detectives found messages indicating Kassup planned to leave the U.S. for Ukraine. In one telegram message, he asked, "So while in Ukraine, I'll be able to live a normal life, even when it's found out I did it." Kassup is scheduled to appear for an arraignment on May 7th, the Waukesha County court docket says. So this is a 17-year-old. Basically, he murdered his mother and his stepmother to obtain the financial gain for him to go ahead and purchase the weapons he needed, make the trips he needed to assassinate the president. And he had numerous other threats of mass destruction, terroristic threats, and it does seem like he was part of a neo-Nazi group. Again, that group was called the Order of Nine Angels. Yeah, so he is getting charged with that. He apparently moved his parents from the home to I don't think he moved them outside. I think he just moved them from one room to another, and then he pretty much fled after taking everything of value out of the home. So hopefully this person will be behind bars for a long time. I actually seen that President Trump had actually acknowledged this and said that he hopes that he stays behind bars as well. But in the description down below, I'm going to leave you the full article to read on that. I didn't think it was too much to get super into this because I just feel like it's not worth it. There's so many things that are going on with this, and kids are literally just getting younger and younger. This kid was 17 years old and still in high school and walking around telling his friends he wanted to assassinate the president and he didn't have a gun. That's concerning. That's very concerning to everybody involved. And I think there's a lack of remorse for a lot of kids nowadays that choose to do this. But to each their own opinion, I guess. I don't know. Okay, guys. So I know this is a little longer episode. I'm trying to make them at least an hour, 30, 45 minutes around there. We're going to talk a little bit about trash talk, and I'm actually going to give you some good watches if you guys want to watch a series or movies and things like that. This is what I have watched and what I recommend for you guys to watch. So we're going to start with trash talk right away, and then we'll end with the good watches for the week. But this is our trash talk segment. If you guys don't know, this is where we talk about all the trashy side of TikTok stuff that people are talking about right now, or at least what's on my feed, because not only do I talk about true crime, there's a lot of conspiracies, a lot of gossip, a lot of things like that, and we're going to deep dive into it. So a lot of what I've been posting over on my TikTok, which if you don't follow my TikTok, please go follow it, Ashtootrippy, has been Gypsy Rose Blanchard, because there's a lot of concerning things that have been happening in her television show Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup that have so many red flags. So one, this show is not good. This is not a good watch for the week for sure. It's something I watch to give recaps and give some information to people that are not aware that the information is available, and I will continue doing that until the mainstream media starts talking about this in a better sense. In this last episode, she has 6 episodes out as of this past week. They come out every Monday. I actually go live on my TikTok every Tuesday, and for the remainder of it, I will be going live every Tuesday to the show with you guys, because I like to do that. I like to watch it with my friends and all of the people that I talk to on TikTok. Now, this last episode, episode 6, was a lot of blame. She put a lot of blame on her mom. There was a lot of things in there that she was like, my mom wasn't a good mom, so I don't want to be like her. I want to be like these other moms around me, which honestly, what we're seeing, because she's posted videos about her daughter being colicky, and it's like, how can you be looking up to these other moms when quite obviously you're not doing anything right. So I want to give you a little context about the colic video. So the colic video, she sets up her phone while her daughter is screaming bloody murder, and she's basically on a rocking chair, rocking her and rubbing her back while her daughter is thrashing backwards because her stomach hurts. She has colic. Or, a lot of people are alleging that she may be pinching her. I made a video on also her possibly blowing in her face, which can all go hand in hand, honestly. But I don't believe that I think that she's forcing this to gain sympathies. Now, the crazy thing about this video is about 5 to 7 minutes before she posted that on her Instagram and on her TikTok and every other social media she has, Ken actually posted that he was about 2 hours away on a beach out in Louisiana, and why he was out there and not helping his girlfriend with his daughter, who knows. And I think she did it for the attention of him. Honestly, like, that's just my own opinion, but that's the way it looks. I think that they play this tit for tat game in their relationship, and it's just not going to work in the end. Again, all my opinion, but it's not going to. She's going to get jealous, she's going to get mad, and that baby's not going to be something that they're going to be thinking about. This last episode really hit a lot of people hard because she was talking really badly about her mother. And in my opinion, and everything that I have seen thus far, including documents, court documents, and interviews she's done and stories she's told and changed over the past years, her mom wasn't that bad of a mom. Her mom was a mom that was trying to figure out what was wrong with her daughter, and once she found that out, she did back off and lay off her a lot. But we also know in the new FOIA documents, which I will be going over soon, hopefully, when I have time, she did lie to her mom when she was 6 years old about not being able to walk. And according to those documents, her mom was not aware she was able to walk up until when she had actually ran away with her then boyfriend, then 35-year-old boyfriend or whatever, Dan Glidewell. And that's when her mother found out that she could actually walk. And I think that's around the time she kind of loosened the reins on her and knew. Now, in 2011, she was officially diagnosed with the chromosomal disorder. And in 2011, she had one exploratory surgery that was scheduled to look at her larynx and why she had such a high-pitched voice. And that was the last thing. And she puts in her book that she was scared basically to go to this because she thought her mom was going to take out her voice box. But she knew very well that it wasn't going to happen. It was exploratory. It was just seeing what exactly was causing it, and then they would move forward with or explain to her what exactly treatment would be for that. So nobody ever told her that her voice box was going to get taken out or anything like that. And to the people that truly still believe everything that comes out of her mouth, I do encourage you to go and look up the documents and look at what's available and the interviews she's done, and notice that there is very huge discrepancies, including reading her book. If you guys don't want to read it, I actually read it for you guys on my YouTube channel, Ashtootrippy, and I have all of those up, and I am actually reading Melissa G. Moore's book, Shattered Silence, right now, so that is also partially up. I only have like 10 or 11 more chapters in that book, so go and check it out. All right, so again, in our trash talk, I want to bring up a couple more people that I've talked about in the past. So one, the Resilient Jenkins. So Resilient Jenkins, I don't think I told you guys much about them last time, but basically they moved into a bigger motel room, and I actually was talking with somebody on my TikTok, and she was like so aggressive saying, that's not a motel, it's a shelter. Well, I did my research, and I've done my research on this already, but people just want to believe the one person that's saying this. It is not a shelter. There is a shelter owned by the same people down the road. They actually put the people that were in that hotel shelter in different areas because they're actually in the process of tearing it down. So where the Resilient Jenkins are at is in fact a motel. You or me or anybody in the area, whatever, can get a room. in either side, either the motel side or an extended stay side. It is not a shelter/hotel. They cannot do that legally. You cannot have a shelter with a hotel that is catering to guests as well as homeless, impoverished shelter people. You can do that. It's simple, cut and dry of it. Everybody has also been like, oh, well, they just haven't taken it down. Really? Because it's on about 10 websites. And I actually called the place, which this lady gave me a phone number and it wasn't even the right place. But I called the place and they told me that I can either book a room through one of their affiliate links, which was the 10, including booking.com that actually lists the hotel to book, or they said I can go in directly, which because this hotel only has like a 3-star rating, so not many people are staying there regardless. Anyways, it's not a shelter, but the Resilient Jenkins did end up moving a room. So now they have like a separate kitchen area and a separate bathroom area. It's not all in one like a regular hotel room, and it gives them a little more space. According to their website, it's about 400 square feet. And honestly, they just have a lot of crowd. These people, like, they accumulate, for them being so poor, they have accumulated massed amount of stuff. Their kitchen is overflowing. Their clothes are overflowing. I don't understand how people live like this. Stephanie has basically put all the blame on the internet again for her exposing everything and people calling her out on it. And she has also like contradicted herself on a Facebook post, basically saying that I don't know how you guys can say that we're on drugs just because we look goofy, and says that nobody should make fun of anybody's appearance, but then in the very next sentence says, I'm sure you guys don't want to look at yourselves in the mirror because of how goofy you look. So it gives contradictory, it gives I'm lying, and it gives I want you guys to watch me. That's just what it gives. And nobody has ever really talked about any of their looks. They've just pointed out the obvious as to where is all their money going. They got paid on the 15th from TikTok, which roughly they are making about $4,000 to $6,000 every month on views alone. That's not including subscriptions, which they're probably raking in at least $500 in subscriptions. And that's also not including Facebook. Facebook doesn't pay that much, but they do pay you after you get so much engagement, and it does go up of how much followers you have over there. So I don't know what they make on that. They don't seem to be posting on YouTube anymore, but she kind of has also in another video laid out like what to expect from her subscriber only side. And she basically talks about like how she doesn't want to take money from people, and she feels like $5.99 is enough for what she posts, and says that she posts 1 to 2 videos a week on the subscriber side, and she only basically replies to 1 or 2 comments a week. So she kind of lays it out for you and says that she's not going to charge $24.99 like other people. She's just going to charge $5.99 because it's reasonable. On what planet is it reasonable to pay that much when somebody is just going to take your content and repost it? Because that's how I've been watching it. And then I also wanted to say, so she's been over here basically talking about Drew's health, and that his health is not in good condition, and that he's disabled, and this, that, and the other. And somebody actually had come in my live the other day and said, you know, you're promoting ableism and you can get in trouble, blah, blah, blah. But in the video I had posted, I basically had debunked that he had actually had a seizure, because he didn't have a seizure. He went to the hospital. They kept him there for an hour or 2, and then they were back posting on their pages and moving and doing all the things. When you have a seizure, especially if it's your first seizure you've ever had in your life, they're going to run tests and probably keep you there for at least 24 hours to make sure it doesn't happen again, and it's not as serious as they may think. So that was debunked real quick. And I wasn't calling calling out that there was nothing wrong with him. I was just calling out that there's no reason for him to be on disability. I know people, including myself, that really could benefit from being on disability, but get denied because there is jobs I can do. And I'm here to tell you, there's people with epilepsy. My husband has a friend that has severe epilepsy and he still works for a living. There's people that have diabetes and still work for a living. And that's actually something Stephanie addressed. Is she's like, oh, you guys are saying this person works and this person does, but everybody's different. Not really, not in this situation. When you have that amount of kids, you shouldn't have a choice whether to work or not. You should be able to work. And I hope the thing that Trump did with the food stamps is going to make them get a job of some sort. Also, Drew had made his own TikTok and he's almost at 10,000 followers. Don't follow him, guys. Once he gets to 10,000 followers, he's going to be monetizing as well. And they're going to bring in even more money that they spend on who knows what. And that's why people think they're on drugs, because they have nothing to show for the money that they have accumulated. When she went viral, she at least got a payout of at the least $10,000, and we don't see any of that money. She was gifted a bunch of stuff from Amazon, but couldn't put a down payment and pay at least 6 months rent somewhere that was going to be a decent size. Now, she has stated that they're looking for a 3 or 4 bedroom, which in my opinion isn't going to be easy to obtain. I don't really know the area that well. I've talked to a few people that are in the area. From my understanding and from being a renter myself, I do know that they're going to check backgrounds. They're going to see criminal charges. They're going to see a bankruptcy. They're going to see evictions, because Drew did have 2 evictions. And actually, this last apartment they were in was not an eviction. As long as they got out by a certain time, they weren't going to be putting the eviction on their record. But regardless, he already has 2 of those. She has a bankruptcy. Even though it doesn't follow you for the rest of your life, they're still going to pull that up because it's on your credit report. And not only that is I do believe people do know who they are in their area. So for them to look up what they're doing online is going to be very easy. And I think a lot of places aren't going to want to do any of that. Anyways, that family is just a hot mess. There's somebody that should just get offline, go get jobs, and take care of the children that they brought into this world. But again, that's my opinion. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about Ash Trevino. We haven't talked about her, and I'm not going to be making any more videos about her. But girl has fallen from the spotlight in a hard way. I saw a live that was reposted. She's been doing lives on TikTok again, and she has like a background, and basically she went from having 30,000 people in her lives to having like 1,000 or 2,000 people, and she's not getting gifted anymore, guys. Like, she does not get gifted. I remember a time where people were throwing her gifts like crazy, and it would just be on the screen constantly. No gifts. She's not winning battles, and she still tries to mock that she's fell off and all of this stuff. She was talking with her daughter the other day on a live and saying, "Oh, I fell off, huh?" Like being sarcastic about it. Well, it's true. You fell off in a hard way because people realized who you really are. She does claim she bought a house, and she claims that she misses working a 9-to-5 job. Well, you can always do that and just go away. It would work, but anyways, that's what's going on with that hot mess. And that's all I have for you for Trash Talk for today. I've been posting a lot of videos over on my TikTok, so if you guys want to ever go watch those and listen to what I have to say about Gypsy or about Brazilian Jenkins or anything going on TikTok, go and follow me over on TikTok, Ashtootrippy. I also have a backup account, which is Tea Time with Trippy, and I'll leave it down in the show notes down below, guys. Okay, so let's end this podcast with good watches for the week. So if you guys don't know, I love movies, shows, and all of that stuff, okay? I'm going to give you guys a couple of good watches, and I'm going to give you guys a couple of bad watches, okay? Now, me and my husband I actually made my husband watch Black Mirror. I love Black Mirror on Netflix. I have watched all the seasons at least 3 times, and a new season came out, season 7, and it has 6 episodes in it. These seasons aren't always long. Some have 9, some have 6, some have 7. It just really depends. But this one had 6 episodes, 2 of them being over an hour long, and I've got to say, I loved all of them. I did. I loved all of them. The one at the end was actually one that was continued from the previous season, which is really awesome. I love seeing them do that. And every single one just deep dives you into that world. Like, picture like X-Files, but just more futuristic and maybe more in the future. There's this really good episode, and I forgot what it's called. I don't remember what all the episodes are called. But there's this really good episode about a video game tester, and he finds out that there's this exclusive video game, and the people or the entities made in this video game actually have a consciousness, an AI consciousness, and they end up growing and thriving and being like this huge army, and this guy ends up like taking acid and is able to hear their little language they have and know what they're saying, and it's just really cool. I love Black Mirror. I highly encourage you guys to watch all the seasons. There are some episodes that a lot of people are like but I like almost all the episodes. There's maybe like 2 or 3 throughout the 7 seasons that I'm like, I can do without. But they are, it's really cool. So I highly encourage you guys to watch that. They're awesome. Now, I watched this movie. It was last month sometime we watched it. I ended up renting it because I had been wanting to see it forever. It's called Heretic, which is now available to stream. Let me see where you guys can stream this at, because I know you guys can stream it somewhere. So it's streaming on HBO Max right now. So I did rent it before this, but it's streaming on HBO Max, and it basically follows these 2 Mormon girls that go to this guy's house, and the guy is basically, he studies all different religions and has them make their own choices, and it just ends really awesome. And I love the story behind it. I love the dialogue in it, the facts that he speaks, and all of this stuff. I really love this movie. It's a horror thriller movie. It's not a very long movie. It's about an hour and 51 minutes, and it basically forces these 2 women to prove their faith. I don't know. I just think that it's awesome. It's with Hugh Grant and also, and let me see, and Sophie Thatcher. So if you guys don't know who Sophie Thatcher is, she is actually one of the girls in the show Yellow Jackets. And if you guys haven't seen Yellow Jackets, I highly recommend that as well. You will be deeply immersed in that. I'm starting to really love her. She's had a lot of movies come out over the past year, and I do love her acting skills and the way she's portrayed. Interesting fact about this is Sophie Thatcher was actually a Mormon prior to becoming an actress. So she kind of connected to this role, and you can so tell it in this movie that she connected to the role of testing her fate and doing all of that. Testing her faith and doing all of that. So I highly recommend you guys to watch that. And if you guys have watched it, definitely leave me your comments down below as well. Okay, now these 2 series are ones I do not recommend you guys to watch, and I will be doing reviews on them once they are over. The first one is The Happy Face Killer, or Happy Face as it's called. This is on Paramount Plus. This is basically a fictionalized story by Melissa G. Moore about her serial killing father, Keith Jesperson, which again, I am reading her quote unquote real book on my YouTube channel. It's called Shattered Silence, the untold story of a serial killer's daughter. I started reading it because, if you guys don't know, Melissa G. Moore is the person that gave Gypsy Rose Blanchard a platform, and she also was a ghostwriter on her book that Gypsy Rose wrote, both of the books. I have got to say that there is so many similarities to these people. It's insane. The show Happy Face It's basically fictionalized. It puts Melissa G. Moore in a light where she's a quote unquote hero, and there's nothing that is even coherently similar to her father's cases and what she went through. A lot of people are telling me it's a lot like the book. I heard reviews that it's a lot like the book. It's not. It's let me just gonna tell you that right now. It's not. So Dennis Quaid plays Keith Jesperson, Melissa Moore's father. And the acting is just, it falls short of anything but good. And I don't think that it's very good acting in this show. And also, names were changed other than hers and her father's. Her brother and sister names were changed. I don't know if maybe it was like their real name, because I do know they had changed all their names for privacy. I don't know why, but and then none of the actual victims' names were used in this, and I'm assuming probably because they didn't give her permission to do that, because she has exploited them in the past, in my opinion. But I don't recommend you guys watch it. It's a lot of fictionalized stuff that will just muddy the water on why exactly Keith Jesperson is inside, and doesn't go over anything that actually is known facts about these cases, other than the fact that she is his daughter. So I don't recommend it. Again, acting is subpar, and the storyline is basically just painting her as the good daughter and the person that is going to be famous one day, in my opinion, of course. But I don't recommend it. I literally give it a 1 star. Don't watch it, okay? Now the other one is both of these shows are still ongoing, because you get an episode every week, which on Thursday when I'm dropping this, there will be a new episode. And I try to post like different things on my TikTok about it, but once it comes to an end, we will post it all together. Okay, so this other one is called Good American Family, and it is based off of the Natalia Grace story. So if you guys don't know the Natalia Grace story, I highly recommend that you watch the documentaries that have come out. I believe they're on HBO Max, but this show is just, it's comical and uncomfortable. I'm going to tell you that right now. Acting, again, is subpar. They actually used, it looks like a little girl and not a little person, which Natalia Grace is a little person with dwarfism, a rare form of dwarfism. And to me, it doesn't make her look that bad, but it does make the parents, the Bennetts, the first adoptive parents, look worse. And I fully believe that that's what they were trying to accomplish, but they made Natalia Grace just look like an ugly child. And I can't get away from that. So basically it follows the case that they've gone over and how they thought that she was older than what she was. However, it's come out now that the reason she was having her menstrual cycle so early and all this is because when you take medication and you suffer from dwarfism, those medications will make you mature faster in many different ways, including growing body hair, including starting your period early, and all of that stuff. So the fact that the Bennetts took it upon themselves to age her so she can then move out is disgusting, in my opinion. And this show just follows all of that information, but again, puts it in a very bad light. The casting was horrible in this, especially for Natalia and the dad, in my opinion, of course. And honestly, again, I give it about a 1 star out of 5 because I have a hard time watching it myself. And again, I'm watching it so other people don't have to. And at the end, I can kind of give you a recap of all the episodes and stuff like that. But I just encourage nobody to watch it. And if you do, just have a barf bag ready because it's very hard to watch. It's not easy to get through. And it just kind of makes my stomach turn, in all honesty. If you guys want to watch the actual story, I would encourage you guys to watch the documentaries that have come out about Natalia Grace. Again, I believe there's There's 2 seasons, and then there's another season, and I think they're on HBO Max, but don't hold me to that. Yeah, so just beware of that. I am going to be actually watching the new Aaron Carter, The Carters documentary, probably sometime this week. And I will also be posting that on my YouTube channel as far as a review goes. A lot of people know how I feel about Nick Carter specifically. I love Aaron Carter. I think he was a fantastic soul. I think that he could have went leaps and bounds in this industry if he was able to get a hold of his drug issues and things like that. So that's it for good watches and bad watches for the week. And let me know down below if you guys have watched any of them, and let me know what you guys think of anything I mentioned. Thank you guys so much for being here for this episode. I truly do appreciate it. Tomorrow I will be uploading a deep dive where we are going to be covering the Angela Green case. And Angela Green is basically, I was going through and trying to figure out who exactly I was going to cover in my deep dive. And I was like, heard this story and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go with it. So she is actually a missing person that she is still missing. She was a 51-year-old mother, aunt, and wife. I have reached out to her niece who has been advocating. Her name is Michelle. Her and her daughter as well, Ellie, have been trying to bring awareness and trying to get some more information on this. But we're going to be going over that tomorrow. So be sure you guys are subscribed to the podcast so you can hear it first. If you guys listen to this on YouTube, I do upload it. It's usually within about a 30 minutes to an hour after the podcast is uploaded. So I do encourage you guys, if you guys want to hear it first, to listen to it on any podcast platform you're listening to the podcast on, okay? But thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you guys next week for another updates episode. I hope you guys stay positive, stay awesome, and we'll talk about it next time. Bye, guys.